today let's talk about one of my most favorite topics, and that is clarity. I know when we are hit with a crisis situation, whether this is losing our job or getting a diagnosis, our health is really poor, we're going through a PTSD crisis, whatever it is in your life, clarity is usually not there, right? It's, for me, it was a very confusing, a very dark kind of phase, and chaotic. My brain wasn't functioning, and I felt really lost, like someone pulled the rug out under my feet, right? I had some idea of where I wanted to go and what I wanted my life to look like, and perhaps you too, you kind of had an idea of what you wanted to achieve, what kind of career you wanted to have, what kind of experiences in life that you wanted, and the feelings, and what kind of partner, and if you wanted to have kids or not, and all those kind of things. You may have had an idea about this, but some big event happens in your life and it just shakes the whole thing and it all crumbles apart, right? Has that happened to you? It sure has for me, and not just once. I had a few of those experiences, and each one of them was just as chaotic, just as confusing and dark and painful. It's like falling into this hole again. And the interesting part was, for me, and I'm going to share what I did and some of the tips and that what helped me through those phases there, but please always share down below your tips as well, so we all can learn from each other. But one key thing that I learned is that every time I fell, you would think that I could use the same strategy again as I used last time and get myself back out again, but this didn't quite work, because every situation was quite unique, and those tools that helped me last time didn't help me the second time, and the tools from the second time didn't help me the third time, right? Just wanted to let you know. And this doesn't mean that you're broken, this doesn't mean that I am a failure, or I'm not doing things right. All that this means is you have outgrown those tools, right? Because with every time we do fall and things crumble apart, we are actually, it feels like we're going backwards, but it's not quite. Every time we have a new toolbox, we have different experiences, we have different knowledge, and we have different approaches and practices and things like that available to us. So the situation is not quite the same. And that is key here. But this is a conversation that I love having, to get some clarity again when you're in this dark space. And what is it that you want instead? Okay, clearly what you had didn't work for some reason or another. We don't have to overanalyze, but reflecting a little bit, okay, gently, not beating up and shaming ourselves and going into that kind of rabbit hole. We want to just kind of matter of fact, almost like a researcher. Like, I have a PhD in internal medicine, so I love the research, and one of the key things is to be I was nearly going to say biased. We want to be non-biased and neutral, right? So for my PhD, for example, I knew the hypothesis that we wanted to test. And as I started off working towards that, things went wrong. It didn't work the way I first approached it. And we had to acknowledge that and then just course correct and keep going. And I think this is for all parts of our life, not just in a research perspective. It makes more sense in the research perspective when we don't beat up on ourselves. We just realize that this is a part of the process. We need to explore and test things out, and this is part of research. But in our personal life, we don't do that so much. There's more resistance there. We're much quicker on beating up on ourselves there. Okay, so we bring our research hat, put the researcher hat on, and just explore. Okay, what is it actually that I want in life? Because when we're in that dark place, when we're not aiming for anything, when we're just not wanting to be in this dark place, this is our only goal, but we don't actually have a clear definition of what we want instead, then it's really difficult to get back out there. It's like we're a ship floating out there in the sea aimlessly, no direction, we have no destination, we're not getting anywhere, right? So these conversations, we have a lot of them in the Thrive community, my online community, because we have weekly Zoom calls where we can actually get together, we can discuss this and can talk about this and have deeper conversations. So if this is something you want to have conversations with, then check out, I'll put a link down below to connect or to find out the details, so you can join and connect with us there too. But I think it's key that you find someone that you can talk about this. Right? We want to verbalize it. We want to say those things out loud, because when we're saying them out loud, we can kind of feel into what is happening in my body. Does this really feel right, or am I saying this because I feel like this is an expectation other people have of me in my life? This is what they want me to do, or where they want me to be, and those kind of things, right? So that kind of helps us to get a bit more of a connection with our body again. This is kind of key, and especially at the beginning when we're in a dark space, we want to connect with our body again and start to feel safe being in our body again, instead of trying to escape there. Yeah. So when we're looking at clarity at the beginning, this is very blurry, and sometimes we want to have this perfect picture, and we might not get it when we're in this crisis situation, and allow that to be. The more we can accept this and just go with perhaps a core value of yours and just let that guide your decisions, right? Perhaps you're a very caring person, that is really important to you. Being surrounded by caring people or things like that. Or perhaps it's one of your core values is in the environment, protecting the environment. Like for me, example is that leaving the smallest footprint on this planet. This is huge for me. This is important. When it was really dark for me and there was nothing else that I could focus on, and I really didn't know what I wanted out of life, this kind of guided me. Okay, I don't know what I want, but I do know that I want to have the smallest footprint, and I'm not, buying things just to have things with the least amount of packaging and things like that, right? When reusing and stuff like that. That gave me a little bit of direction. It gave me that sense that I am living from a value-based kind of life, and that was important to me, right? So, and as you're doing this, it builds that sense of confidence within yourself a little bit again. Okay, in this area, I'm doing something that is truly me. This is truly important to me. You get that sense of agency again. And then you can put this same principle onto a different area of your life. Whether this is your friendship, whether this is your career, your hobbies, your health, whatever it is, right? But have one, and then we build on that, right? We want to build on this kind of thing. So it's not about having clarity in crystal detail about every aspect of your life. I don't even know whether it's even humanly possible for us to have that. I don't know. I'm still a work in progress there myself, in a way, in a sense. It is like I said at the beginning, that I went to my multiple crises. Each time I was in this really dark, confusing kind of space and didn't know up or down or which way is right or wrong anymore. Being in that space to now, I'm feeling really safe and grounded in my body. Right? I know what is important to me. I know the values. I know what I want to stand for. I know what lights me up. I know my desires. I know what I love doing. The things that fire me up, that bring me joy. I know that again. I didn't know that when I was in a dark space. Right? So I have a lot more clarity. But even that changed over the time. This isn't set in stone. So when you're looking at your clarity, just allow yourself to be a little bit more playful, a little bit more curious, and a little bit more flexible, right? Because any trauma, when we're in this really stressed out states, it robs us of the flexibility and spontaneous way of being, and the playfulness and the explorer kind of mindset, right, that we want to have. It puts us more in this rigid way of thinking. We want things to be predictable because we feel like if it's predictable, then it's safer, right? We really long for this, but it doesn't really work, right? So we want to kind of allow ourselves to explore and be curious about, how does this feel if I'm walking into this direction? It is one step at a time, right? Because so often then we start to have goals, and it's like, for me, it's like, I'm in this dark place and my brain's not working properly, but all of a sudden I want to be a clear thinker, and I want to be successful, and I want to have X, Y, Z, like, right? Going from this to this extreme, it's not possible. Like, I often give the example, if you're thinking about, if you learn a new hobby like playing tennis, you start in a beginner's class, right? You're not signing up for the Olympics team. And as ridiculous as it sounds when you're learning something like tennis, we do this all the time in our life, right? When it comes to our healing journey for PTSD, if we want to learn how to manage our big emotions better, we want to be perfect right from the get-go, and we try this practice once and it should work now better, and I should see some improvement, and it's not happening that quickly, right? When we're learning a hobby like tennis, we can see it takes years to get really good at this, and we expect this in a way from something like that. But in our area now, from our inner growth, we have a lot higher expectations, or impatient. Let's put it that. I was very impatient. So these are just some of the tips, some of the things that helped me with when I was trying to establish or get some clarity again, and getting myself moving back out of these really dark, confusing spaces again, and getting some sense of direction, so it doesn't feel like I'm aimlessly not, aimlessly aiming. I am aimless, like a ship floating out to sea. This is really how I used to feel. Being out there, and it was so confusing, it was so tiring, it was so devastating, it was heartbreaking, right? It's a very difficult space to be in, so please reach out for help. I had a lot of professional help. So I said, it's important to have conversations with other people. If you have friends, then that's great as well. If you have those nurturing, selected people that we can talk about those kind of conversations, or join the Thriver community, right? This is a group full of people. I'm so passionate about that community, and it's just so beautiful to hang out with people who really love to have those conversations as well, and on a similar journey, right? They're all people like you and I, right? They're people. Some people are professionals in the mental health system, some people are stay-home mums, some people are mechanics. I mean, it's any occupation, any area. But the beautiful thing is, we're all bringing something to the table. It doesn't matter who you have that conversation with. People have different perspectives, and they're opening us up for different perspectives, seeing things from a different point of view, giving us different options. Now all of a sudden you go, oh, I never thought of it this way, right? Or maybe I could try this as well. And it brings this to the table. So I think this is why it's so key to surround yourself with a group of people where you can have those kind of conversations and discussions. And there, as you can see, I love this. Anyway, as always, I hope you find this useful, and please share your insights and tips down below too. And I'm sending you lots and lots of love and rainbows to brighten up the tough times just a little. See ya, bye!